Hello everybody and welcome to my Staff Elementalist sPvP tutorial video. I'm just going to leap right into the tournament here because I know a lot of you guys generally prefer to see the video where they see the build first and the gear. I'm going to get into that second because it's not nearly as important as the combos that we'll be laying down. This is definitely the more important part of it. Right now you may notice that I'm using Flame Axe. I will get into that. Don't discredit the video just from that ability alone, because there is definitely a good reason for it. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video here for a second, and I'm going to show you this combo. I put up the static field first, and then immediately started erupting. The eruption is where most of our damage comes from, so it's important to try to land that. So I put the static field up to restrict his movement, and then immediately dropped an eruption inside. Following up that, I'm going to shockwave him as well to immobilize to prevent him from rolling. So now that I've hit him with the shockwave, I've dropped a lava font at his feet. What that's going to do is it's going to set up the eruption to also give me might, and it's going to burn him while he's stuck in the immobilized state and in the static field. It's a really good way to open up. It helps, since you've already used two forms of CC to get him to stand in that one spot, you may as well drop that lava font. Following up to this, I'm going to try to burn him some more, so I'm going to give him that flame burst, and then I'm going to roll into him to use Evasive Arcana, and that should light him on fire. At that point I could Arcane Wave him, but in this case I don't, because he's pretty high on health right now anyway, and it's not going to put him down, so why waste it? So as you can see, I'm getting pretty low on health, so I'm going to go and heal up, which brings us to the most important part of the class, is our water fields. We have two water fields, and with this particular build we have a ton of blasts, so we can heal and deal damage at the same time. This is unique to our class, and one of the main reasons why I love playing Staff Elementalist. In a big brawl like this, these blast heals are huge. Not only are you dealing damage to your opponent, you're also healing up yourself and your teammates, as long as you're in the fight doing it. In this case, I'm just doing it to myself because I'm the one that's low on health. My teammates are not. So I threw down a small water field and then immediately blasted it with my Arcane Brilliance. That's going to put me right to full, and I still have a secondary water field to use for my teammates. So now I'm back up to full health. I'm going to just throw some spells at him for a little bit here while I wait for fire to come back up. I learned my lesson with that Guardian that he's not going to go down to some basic combo, so I'm going to use one which I'm sure you're all very familiar with. It's the Meteor Storm Tornado combo. For those of you who aren't aware, Meteor Storm comes down with a reasonable amount of damage. It's not in itself a really strong ability, but when you start casting it, once it finishes, the Meteor Storm will continue on for some time, at which point you can go into Tornado, which is your elite ability. Tornado gives you a huge boost to power and precision and a little vitality, which will also apply to the meteors that are continuing to fall on them. So not only are you dealing damage with the Tornado itself, you're also dropping meteors that will hit for sometimes up to 5 or 6k. This is usually a really good ability to use in a situation like this, where you want to get that circle, but you can't get them out of it. Like bunkers, it works really well with, or if you're going to get a free cast, it's not a bad idea. But it's really nice to get in there with the Tornado once the meteor storms are falling, otherwise you're just wasting the vitality, and it's not all that great. Throwing them around and giving them knockbacks is a great benefit as well if your teammates are going down. So the major downside to this combo is, of course, that Tornado is on a 150-second cooldown, which means you're only going to get to use it a couple of times per game. It's important to get it off when you do need it to get off, though, so another thing you may want to add to this is you could put in Arcane Shield to protect you from knockbacks and from certain kinds of fears, and it'll help you get that Meteor Storm off before going into Tornado. There's also Magnetic Aura from the Earth element that allows you to reflect projectiles, which will help you if you're fighting Rangers. So as you can see, it's quite a powerful combo, but it's definitely not infallible. You can see that I went down there. It's also important to remember that although it's a great combo, you can't rely on it. As a Staff Elementalist, if all you're doing is laying down Meteor Shower and Tornadoes at every opportunity you get, you're not doing your team their benefit. Make sure that you're using it in the right situations. I've gone entire games where I haven't used a Tornado or a Meteor Strike, and just make sure that you're using it correctly and in the right situation, like when you need to clear these circles. So as you can see, we're not doing all that well in this tournament, and that's all I really wanted to show you from this one fight here at the gate. So I'm going to fast forward this to another example so you guys can learn other combos. So this next combo I'm going to show you, it actually uses the Flame Axe, which is part of the reason why I run it, but it's not the only reason by far, and it's not even a great example. I think I missed one of the attacks, but it's a great way to apply damage and a great way to wait for your cooldowns to come back up, because it deals a lot of damage and it helps you build might. So I'm going to open up with Eruption, because as I said before, this is the primary source of Elementalist DPS, is hitting that Eruption. This combo is not usually used for attacking somebody on a point. It's usually used for defending one. Normally I'd be standing where he is, so that when the enemy's coming towards me, they'll bump into that wall and then hit the Eruption, and then that's how the combo is initiated. But seeing as I've got a teammate here and I just want to get this guy cleared up as quickly as I can, this combo does do more damage than the first, but it's not as guaranteed because we're not using Shockwave. So immediately after I put Unsteady Ground down, I threw down a Lava Axe so that I can get this Ring of Fire up just in time for the Eruption to explode. Because that exploded inside, it gives me Might, and Might gives you both condition damage and power, which is useful for this combo since there's a good deal of burning and direct damage. Now that I'm inside the fire circle and I've just given myself 3 stacks of Might from the Eruption, I'm going to leap at him with Flame Leap. Now this causes a good deal of burning, but more importantly it gives you a fire aura, which means that every time they hit you it's going to give you more might. Again, this is a really high damage combo, which is why part of the reason why I use this Flame Axe. Once you land that Flame Leap, if they're still inside the circle, in this case he's not because he was feared away by that thief, you can drop the Flame Axe, and that'll also give you another blast inside the fire field in order to give you more might. By the end of this, if you're still waiting for cooldowns to come back up, you can just throw number 1 at him until you've got a good deal of might for their next combo, which, because you only used Earth in this case, you could set up a combo 1 or a Meteor Shower. So as you can see, like I said earlier, he got feared out of that circle, so I just threw down that Exploding Lava Axe into the fire circle to give me some extra might, and I'm stacking might here. Now remember when I said I wasn't a very good Elementalist. You're going to watch me screw this up. I could be doing a defensive combo here, but instead, because my Unsteady Ground was down, I switched to Water for some reason, and I just started dropping abilities. I dropped that CC, and I thought, oh shit, it's time to drop another some damage, because I'd wasted my CC, and I just ended up wasting all of my cooldowns. So to recover, I did the original Tornado Meteor Shower combo, which fortunately really paid off for me, but it wasn't the right opportunity to do it. You can see how low I get here, and I have to blast another water field just to get clean. And you'll notice I didn't even get a chance to drop it inside the field with my partner there. In this case I dropped a large water field, and I couldn't even drop my Flame Axe to heal with it, so we were in trouble. And again, this is something you really want to avoid as an Elementalist, is just dropping your abilities on the fly. It's never a good idea to be doing that, dropping your CC for no reason. I even had another opportunity when my Unsteady Ground came up to do the defensive combo, but I didn't. I was just dropping all sorts of fields all over the place, and that's just not the way you're meant to play. You have to have a lot of control with Staff Elementalist, and if you lose that control, you could very well lose the fight, and we almost lost this fight. It was a good thing my thief friend was relatively talented and managed to pull it all together. So I'm going to fast forward this again and get back to the action here, because we're just going to do some point capping maintenance. You'll notice we're still pretty damn far behind, but Tranquility is coming up, and I can see that. We also have 2 of the those little buffs that give you more points when you kill people, so killing people is nice, and we get a few kills here as well, so it's not bad. Okay, so we're just going to drop down into Tranquility here and get ready for the big fight. You can see that I've saved my Tornado and my Meteor Shower just for this occasion. So there's the first person drop down, and Tranquility just appeared, so I go into Earth and use Magnetic Aura to reflect projectiles in case I might be able to grab it, but that's not the case. I'm going to pause it right here just to show you the combo again. So you'll notice that I did the same setup as my combo 2, or my defensive combo. I'm not trying to be defensive in this case, I just wanted to make sure that my static field was saved for the big fight. This is a Bunker Guardian, and we know that a big fight is coming. She's just here to hold us up, so I'm just setting it up for him. Another thing is I didn't drop my Flame Axe like you saw in the first one, because the Flame Axe is a great way to heal, which is the other half of the reason why I run it. So I'm actually going to save that for when I drop my Healing Rain. So for those of you who don't want to run Flame Axe, this is a viable alternative to this combo, is just to switch immediately into fire so that you'll get the blast finisher from the eruption, and then you'll have Flame Burst as well to light them on fire. So remember also that when you're throwing down these fire fields and you're getting all these blast finishers on them, that you want to be inside the field in order to get the boon. I rolled into this because I wanted to be in it for the additional might, and because I wanted to initiate a flame burst from Evasive Arcana. So that's going to light him on fire for just a little bit longer, and then afterwards I'm going to hit him with a flame burst, and the two durations will stack. So right now I'm just keeping in fire because I'm waiting for my earth to come back up so I can set up another combo. In this case I'm going to be running combo 1, which you'll see in a second here. There's the static field, there's the eruption, there's the shockwave, and then ice spike. Now I probably could have been better off dropping an ice field here, because then I would have given area of effect frost armor to my teammates. But instead I ran with an ice spike, probably just because on the fly I'm trying to deal as much damage as possible. Alternatively, if this was a more dire situation and I wasn't just trying to kill somebody, you could also drop the healing rain and get the health from that. So you'll notice as the fight drags on here that more and more bad guys are showing up, and I'm taking a good deal more damage, and so is my teammates. So I'm going to stop for a second and heal them. This is something that very few other classes in the game can accomplish effectively. Not only am I going to heal them, I'm going to damage my opponent at the same time. Because I'm using Arcane Brilliance, Arcane Wave, and a number of other blast finishers, I'm dealing damage to my opponent, and at the same time healing my friend. So I can see that my teammates aren't near me, so I'm going to try to give them a heal by switching into Earth and rolling to the edge of the water field where I saw my teammate. Now unfortunately I think he's too far away to get the heal from the blast finisher, but at the same time I'm healing myself and I'm damaging my opponent. Even if I did just damage my opponent and only healed myself, if I hit him for 1,000 damage and I heal 1,000 damage, that's a 2,000 damage difference, and that's really going to swing a fight in your favor. So if you're just in the field by yourself and you blast it 4 times, you're going to heal yourself for 4,000 damage. And if there's an opponent next to you and you hit them with these blasts, you're going to hit him for approximately 4,000 damage. That's 8,000 damage difference. 4,000 in your favor and 4,000 against him. Now let's assume a more realistic scenario is there's going to be 3 or 4 people, friends and foes, in the field. You could be looking at 32,000 damage difference in swinging a fight in your favor in a span of about 5 seconds of blasting. Of course, it's pretty hard to get that many blasts off on the same field, so it's probably an unrealistic number anyway, but it is a nice sentiment to consider when you are looking at those water fields. So you're looking here, I did set up another combo there, so you can see my control is still in it. So you can see that the fight has pretty much reached its pinnacle. There's people starting to go down, and I'm just trying to drop as much damage as I can, so I drop the Meteor Shower. I don't go Tornado, though, because my health is too low, so instead I try to blast that water field, which is going to help with the differential, and in this case it puts the last of them down, so it was worth it. So just jumping ahead here, there's one last thing I want to show you with this Flame Axe, and one of the main reasons I used it. In this case, I'm getting into a fight here that I was not wholly prepared for. I tried to set him up for it, but he's just going for the point, and I'm using every cooldown I can to try to get there before he can uncap it. So I arrive, and I have no CC, so I'm going to drop Meteor Shower since I know he's going to be in that circle, and Tornado. But he's dealing a good amount of damage to me, so I'm going to have to heal the moment this Meteor Storm is done. And there it is. So I'm going to drop a water field and blast it, again working on that differential, getting his health down and putting mine up. And then I put up the water field. So I'm going to drop a Lava Axe immediately, and then blast and leap through that water field to give me 2 extra heals. Now only one of those is going to affect my teammate, but the second one's going to help me get to full, which is important as well. So I'm just going to stay in fire here and try to deal some damage before I go down, but I know it's going to happen. I tried to drop a static field, but it didn't take for some reason, and then I wasted my heal without a water field. So I'm down. I didn't expect to win because we went into this fight without cooldowns, but since I'm getting resurrected, I'm going to go back to my defensive combo because I don't want to get hit. So you can see here that I'm setting up my defensive combo because I was half expecting them to follow me. Being the one that just got up, I figured they would come after me, but they didn't. So I got a free blast from this eruption at least, and then I can free cast from range. But that's it for this tournament. That's pretty much all I wanted to show you. I mean, there's still a couple more interesting fights to come. We did eventually win, if that matters to you. But I hope you learned a lot from the combos. I'm going to go over them again, and I'll go over my build really quickly at the end here because I realize this is a pretty long video already. but just stay tuned for that. I'm going to quickly recap all the combos here. This is combo 1. Static field to lock them in, eruption, then shockwave to pin them down, then roll in to blast finish. And then basically they'll bleed down. It's probably the lowest damage combo out of all of them, but it's the most likely to succeed because of that static field at the start. This one, imagine your opponents are chasing you down. You're going to be running, and then they'll be following you, so you drop an eruption and then a wall, so they bump into it behind you. Drop the flame axe to get that blast finisher. Blast it again. Switch back into earth and drop the shockwave before switching into fire, and then you can hit him again. That way he'll be a little immobilized for the end of that combo. This is the meteor combo. Pretty much explains itself. It's just primarily damage. There's really not much more that can be said about it. I drop Arcane Wave here just to show you. Notice that damage increase that went from 1,000, 2,000, and then went up to 3,000 or 4,000 damage. This next one coming up, this is the water combo. This is just as many heals as you can, blasting it. So there's the eruption, then you roll for Evasive Arcana, then blast it, then Flame Axe, blast again, and then leap. You can see it does almost as much damage as the first combo, but you get to heal everybody in it as well. Unfortunately, it blows all your cooldowns. Alright, so here we go. This is the character build that I'm running. I promised you guys I would show you. Even though it's really not that important, you can sort of go with whatever you want. Everything I was aiming to teach you in this video was already displayed. The combos are really the most important part, but I'm sure some of you are curious on what kind of build I'm running, so here we go. Basically the build's the Arcane Brilliance, which you're aware of, Flame Axe, which is interchangeable between Arcane Blast. Sometimes I run Cleansing Fire if I think there are going to be a lot of conditions, but other than that, basically those three. I don't often run Arcane Power, I don't really like it. My Arcane Shield, of course, and Arcane Wave, which is great. Going into the character itself, we've got superior runes of divinity across the whole board. I like the stats. I like everything. A staff elementalist can really make use of every stat line, and I really do use every stat line, so I don't mind getting a little bit more. An interesting thing here is superior energy, of course, because you've got evasive arcana, so you want to be able to roll as much as possible in every element if you can, but failing that, just earth and water and fire are the most important. And of course the Celestial Amulet. I know people are generally hate on the Celestial gear because it's not a specialized build, but I mean, as you can see, especially with healing power or condition damage, we use everything here. And given that you'll get a little bit more stats out of Celestial than you would than focusing by, for example, Berserkers, then it's definitely worthwhile to give it a try. One thing to note is that this critical chance is 33%. It's relatively low. If you're looking for a build for World vs. World, I would probably up the critical chance a little bit, because this only reads 52%, but because of my build, and you'll see this fluctuates up and down a little bit, so you'll want to get more crits if possible. The toughness and armor and vitality are not great. But again, you're a caster, you're a support class, you're not meant to be taking damage, and really, if you are taking damage, your primary defense are your CC, your static fields, and your unsteady ground. So going into the build, fairly simple build. 20, 20, 0, 0, 30. I predominantly went with fire magic because 10% increased in fire damage. Like you've seen, sometimes you get stuck in fire waiting for the other elements to come back, so having that 10% damage increase is really nice. And Cleansing Fire, this is the only way to clear conditions on this build, which is a problem, which is why sometimes, like I said, you might want to remove Flame Axe and put in Cleansing Fire, and that way you'll be able to get rid of a lot more conditions that way. When you flick, yeah, that's important as well. When you switch into Fire, you cause burning and more burning stuff here. All great stuff. Zephyr Speed, not so useful. Bolt to the Heart, this is interchangeable. You can have whatever you want here, really. Zephyr's Boon's actually not bad if you're running Flame Axe, because you can get that fire field when you leap through a fire. Sorry, you can get the Flame Aura when you leap through a fire field, so it's not that bad. The rest of them I'm not really all that happy with, so really it's just Bolt of the Heart because there's nothing else really there. This is a great ability, one that's really undervalued. If you are going to switch into air for any reason, make sure you have a target, and when you switch, you'll do about 1,000 damage with a proper crit, and that's a nice way to apply direct damage if, for example, somebody's running away from you and you just need to get that last little piece of health down. It's really good for that. And this is important, Arcane Lightning. Every time you use an arcane ability, it gives you 10% more crit chance, so that's helpful. This is you cannot use this build without Arcane Mastery. 20% reduced recharge on arcane spells is great, and even more to that point, it makes Arcane Brilliance a 20-second cooldown as opposed to 25. That's pretty damn important. Blasting Staff, of course, you can't have a staff build without Blasting Staff. Lingering Elements, which is great, whatever, could do with that. And of course gain Fury when you switch attunements. I actually don't find this all that useful in Staff because a lot of my abilities take a while to cast anyway, so I switch in and Fury's gone before the spell actually gets off. Arcane Precision, skills have a chance to apply a condition on critical hits, and again, like I was saying before, you want to have that extra crit chance so you can actually get that off. And then of course Evasive Arcana. So that's pretty much the build. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm going to try to cut this off short just because I'm sure I've been talking your ear off more than enough. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the link below.